heading into Game 6, who would you rather have, Luka or SGA?
You give me Luka Doncic, and there's no indictment on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander whatsoever. The guy's an unstoppable offensive force, and he was incredible the other night in Game 4 with what he did in the fourth quarter to close that game, and thoroughly outplayed Luka and Kyrie in that game in the fourth quarter. But the answer is Luka Doncic, because he has a large enough sample size for me now in big spots to see the way this guy comes through and the extent to which he dominates the game. And look, he has not been at his best throughout these 2 rounds of the playoffs offensively. I know he's not 100%. His jump shot has been very inconsistent. Lou Dort has been inside his jersey in this round. So I don't think Luka's been at his best. But you know when he was at his best? 2 rounds in a row? When it was 2-2 and they went on the road for a Game 5. He did it in the Clipper series. He did it again in this series, where he is head and shoulders better than anybody else on the floor, despite the fact that there's multiple All-Stars on the court in both of those series. Game 5, his ability to hone in, concentrate, play through whatever he's dealing with physically, leave the referees alone, and just focus on being an unstoppable offensive force as a scorer and as a playmaker. It's incredible what this guy has done. And don't even forget about what he did in the Game 7 in Phoenix a couple years ago when he went in there and had put that team up 30, 40 points on Phoenix in a Game 7 on the road. Luka Doncic is the real deal when those lights turn up. He runs to that, he embraces that, and he's got the physical presence that he can figure out a way to play through anything in that situation. So I'm going with Luka. If you got a game that you have to win and Luka Doncic is taking the court, unless you're just in a situation where you're overmatched by a team, Luka Doncic is the guy that's going to be the difference maker in those moments, and he was again last night.
I am a firm believer in the present and future of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I'm going to take Shai in this discussion, and I may end up looking bad on it because I know what Legs just said is true. I know that Luka has a track record of being that kind of guy who can deliver in the biggest moments. And absolutely, Shai is still learning. He's got to vary his game up a little bit. I can't be more invested and believer in Shai's future. And so he's going to deliver big wins, and he's an absolute killer in the clutch. And maybe that happens in Game 6 in Dallas. Maybe it doesn't. The other thing I'll say about this individual moment, Luka has been a little up and down in this series. There's times where he's looked spry. Last night, he looked really good. 3 nights ago, that knee was bothering him. It's been a little bit hard to predict how he's going to come out. So I'm going to say Shai and believe in Shai. And even if Shai walks away with the loss the other night, I'm holding shares of his future.
I don't have to qualify my praise or my assertions about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with anything beyond this. As great as Nikola Jokic is, as great as Anthony Edwards has been this year, my vote for league MVP was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I have a vote. That's who I voted for. And I thought that he was very, very deserving. Young, a leader on the second youngest team in the NBA, I believe, who scored over 30 points in a game over 50 games this year, who averaged over 30, was the league's 3rd leading scorer behind Luka and Giannis. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is special. And in this series, what he's doing right now, 4 straight games, okay, he's got over 30. He's averaging 32 points, 51% shooting, 45% from threes, 9 rebounds, 6.8 assists over these 4 games, last 4 games. He's special. And I still would side with Tim Legler on this for this big reason. Even though Luka has been up and down this series, averaging 22 points, shooting like 39% from the field, hasn't been his normal self. We get all of that, and we can't deny that. The flip side to it, guys, is look at the effect Luka's greatness has on the rest of the Dallas Mavericks. Because when we talk about greatness, Legs, when we talk about greatness, Wendy, one of the things that we look for, it's not just about what you do. It's about how you serve to galvanize the troops around you to get most out of them. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander last night, what does he do? 30 points, 54% shooting, 8 assists, 6 steals, 6 rebounds, 2 steals. The second leading scorer was Chet Holmgren with 13 points. In those 4 games that I mentioned, where he's averaging over 30, your second leading scorer is Jalen Williams at 15.5 points per game. He's doing his thing, but the others around him ain't capitalizing off of it and maximizing the potential of the number 1 overall seed in the Western Conference, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's problematic. Luka has such a profound effect on the play of a Derrick Jones, who's played well, of the play of a P.J. Washington, who's played exceptionally well. Kyrie gets to lurk. The great Kyrie Irving, a champion, one of the most prolific offensive talents this game has ever seen. He gets to lurk around, scaring the living hell out of the opposition, because you know what he can do. And he don't have to do it. What was Kyrie Irving? You know, 2 of the biggest plays last night that Kyrie Irving made was tapping rebounds out to Luka. Jumping in the middle of the fray and tapping it out to Luka so Luka could launch one of his 5 threes. This is the kind of impact that Luka has had. Gafford all of a sudden elevates his level of play. We know how athletic he is or whatever. All of a sudden, he looks even more spry. Lively is going after it. There's 2 big men that know their jobs because they got Luka. There's Kyrie that knows when to step back and when to step forward because he's got Luka. Kyrie Irving is being deferential. Think about that. Kyrie Irving, who's a showstopper, who shows up in the second half in a few games in these playoffs and just puts on a show and takes over first round, second round. This is what he does. He's like, let me wait. Let me step back because this brother is who I got here. And then, of course, Derrick Jones with his athletic self and P.J. Washington being that Energizer bunny, that professional troublemaker. These brothers know what role they have to play and know how to feed off of Luka better than Oklahoma City players apparently know how to feed off of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as of yet. That is why you go with Luka instead of SGA at this particular moment in time.